All right, guys, we're at the house. We're going to be doing our home inspection. We have Matt from Watchdogs Inspections, and he's going to tell us all the good, the bad, and ugly.
Lots of ugly, apparently.
All right, come with us.
So, as far as the roof goes, they put a 20-year shingle on the entire roof. The kind of on this east side of the house, those shingles were probably updated about 10 years ago. Everything else is at least 25 to 30 years old. And that's why you can see in the front, all the shingles are curling, you know, things are falling apart. And so, but they also, when they put the new section on this east side, they put it right on top of the shingles that are curling.
So it all has to be.
So it'd all have to come off.
So the best thing is, I don't think it's worth trying to save the two pieces that they updated. I think you're better off replacing all of it. The good thing is this, everything on the house with the exception of the back side of the garage has all been completely taken off and resheeted with plywood.
Okay.
So it's ready for a new roof.
So we don't have to redo the underneath, just new roofing materials on top of it.
Correct. Except on the back side of the garage, that still has the original wood shakes.
Okay.
So when it comes time to take the roof off, you should take those wood shakes off, finish putting plywood in those sections, and then put your new roof on.
Is that what you're going to call this lean-to, the carport?
Yeah, the carport. So if we look at the carport, you know, the garage portion and the house portion structurally are fine. Everything with the carport was all undersized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's worth re-roofing. You're going to need to take it down and start over.
Yeah, I wasn't really like, when I came here, I didn't feel like this was something that I was like, I'm dedicated to keeping this here.
Yeah, because you can see all the wood rot. You can see.
Well, it's just an interesting situation all the way together.
It's basically like a wasp nest home.
Yeah.
And this is where you can see on the sides of the garage and the back side of the garage where the wood shakes are still existing with the shingles on top.
Okay.
And so the problem is with the wood shakes under the shingles is the wood shakes hold a lot of moisture, and that's what takes out the shingles on top.
Okay.
If you look at the garage, the foundation on the garage is kind of a mixture of concrete and brick, and then they put a concrete block on top of that for the wall structure. The issue is it looks like the foundation settled just a little bit, which is typical with a brick foundation, but the important thing is going to be sealing up all the cracking in the mortar, especially in the winter, so that moisture's not getting in there, freezing, and then causing further deterioration.
Okay.
Do you feel like the foundation needs to be redone, or we just need to seal up the outside?
It just depends if you're going to keep the structure as is, or if you're going to try to, modify it. I think once you modify it,
it'll all crumble down.
I think you'll need to take it all out and bring it up to current code. So, but if you leave it as is, then I think you can salvage what you have by just sealing up, the cracking to keep the moisture out, getting a new roof on, doing some of those things. Okay. An important thing on the outside, especially when the carport comes down, all the electrical on the outside of the house is all exposed. Everything's hanging off nails like Christmas lights.
and taped together.
So we got wire splices
But
everywhere.
there's paint over the tape. That's legit. The paint's holding it together. I feel like if you strip the paint off this house, everything would be like, ooh.
The whole house would fall down. So just make sure that all that electrical gets pulled out. Any electrical on the outside needs to be in conduit.
Okay.
That way it's all watertight.
Just gone.
So gas meters here. I did check for leaks. Couldn't find any problems there.
Okay, that's
so
good.
That
At
looks
least
good.
there's that. No gas leaks.
Yeah, no gas leaks. One thing that's going to be important with keeping the garage that they've converted to living space
Is to redo this.
Well, where they took the two garage doors out, and you can see obviously it went from brick to siding. So those siding areas, all the siding is at grade level. So meaning like if you look at the existing foundation, you can see you got about 4 inches of concrete there.
Yeah.
And what that does is when water comes against the structure, it hits that and kind of goes away, right? Well, when all the wood's exposed on the bottom, all that moisture goes to the structure and then starts seeping up the wood and causing rot. And that's why the bottom's rotted out. So, and then when they did put the siding on the front of the garage, they didn't do any of it correctly. And so, like if you look down inside the window, that's why the wall's rotten, because all the water just goes right down behind.
These windows are made to open up this way. Is that what that hinges?
Yeah.
And then there's a few cracks in the foundation, which aren't a structural concern. But again, it's kind of like the block work in the garage.
Just make sure
Just
it's
make sure
sealed.
they get sealed so you keep the water out so that they don't freeze and expand and get worse.
Okay.
Okay. You can see again, all the wiring's exposed and none of the lights are meant to be outside.
Well, that one you could plug something into. That, I mean, that looks safe, right?
That's for Christmas lights.
Yeah. That doesn't do Christmas lights. We have one of those things that like shoots on your house
Yeah.
and puts the lasers. That's the extent of the
That's the
Christmas light
Christmas lights.
situation.
So just make sure all those get put in waterproof boxes and all the connections aren't exposed and all that, so we don't have
Can
problems.
you like pull this beadboard down and run wiring underneath it?
Oh yeah, or you can get in the attic. And
Yeah. Yeah, you just chase it.
there's lots of options. Just got to get that out.
Because like that one is not exposed.
Correct. The hose bib in the front, it's the same. All the hose bibs on the house are the same. So none of them are freeze proof. So either when you do the remodel, you can upgrade those to
you
freeze
just-
proof.
This is what the existing freeze proof right here.
Yeah.
They took care of that right
Or you
there.
can put the rag and duct tape back on.
The rag and duct tape back on.
And then you can see, obviously, with the deterioration of the shingles, you've got quite a bit of water that's getting into the soffits
Okay.
and causing a lot of
The
rot.
rot.
Obviously, you've got all the roof water coming out because there's no gutters, and then if you look, all the soil sloping to the house, so all the water's
to be
running right.
regraded.
Yeah, everything's being regraded.
So this grass is pointless because it's going to need new grass.
Yep. And then if you look at the few basement windows you have, all the window wells are completely full. So you've got all the water coming off the roof, everything draining towards the structure, and then it gets in the window wells and then is able to leak right inside.
So like snow is sitting in here all winter long.
Correct. Yeah, so they're using the original chimney now as a flue chase for the water heater in the furnace.
Okay.
Okay.
And the problem is you can see the metal pipe coming through the chimney, but when they punched that through, they left the top of the chimney exposed.
So it's
The
not
water
sealed.
just-
So water is just running down the chimney, and that's why when we get in the mechanical room, you're going to see the flue is all rusted out
So that-
because it's been
what are
constant
these,
water.
Like, are these vents here?
Yeah, for the bathroom and the
The
sink.
kitchen? And then
Yeah,
it's
so
open to
those
the
two-
water?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Because those tie back into the drain system, so any water that goes down is just going to go down the drain.
Okay.
So those are your plumbing vents. So now we're in the crawl space. So basically the whole house is on a crawl space. They dug a majority of it out and turned part of the house into a basement. And so when they did that, the portion of the crawl space they left, there's no structural support.
Here's that, go film.
So there's a beam that runs through the middle of the crawl space that you can see. And there's just like, there's a pile of bricks holding the beam up in this corner. And then you've got just a few random, wood posts going into the soil. So if nothing else, you gotta at least get some concrete footings and some posts underneath that beam so that the floor is supported properly.
How do you get the concrete footings there?
I crawl in there and do it.
You belly crawl in there and do it.
Oh,
Get myself some overalls.
that's a Zeb job, I think.
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
a tub right here? So I think it is, right?
Yeah, that was where they cut through the floor joists and created new support.
Oh, show them the bottom of that support. Like, that looks pretty good. Like, I think that's a good idea.
It's on the angle.
Well, no, it's not so much that. Like, it's holding, like, there's a 1/4 of an inch of that and some blocks.
Yeah, so that's
Like,
kind
if
of,
that knocked out, that tub would just go whoop.
yeah, that's the way the whole, crawl space floor is.
I'm surprised it is the level as it is inside. Like, it doesn't seem like it's really caving in upstairs.
No. So the water heater is 31 years old.
I saw that.
Yeah, I think this house calls for a tankless situation.
Most most water heaters you're lucky to get 8 to 10 years out of, and this one's 31 years old. But the water heater, I mean, it runs fine. It's just really old, so just be aware of that. Some things they should have done when the water heater was installed, because there's no drain in here, the water heater should have been installed in a catch pan. And then there is no earthquake straps on the water heater.
Okay.
So you need to make sure those
There's an
earthquake
earthquake
straps.
strap. It's right here. That's not it?
It was an attempt.
I don't think that meets code.
So we want to make sure we get a proper earthquake strap on, and then the little valve, the brass valve sticking out the side of the water heater, there's supposed to be a drain line from that into the catch pan.
Okay.
Okay. When we were talking outside at the chimney, I was saying there was no cap, and so all the water was coming down. If you look, you can see all the water that's been coming through the exhaust flue.
Oh, that's why it's rusted, because that's
That's why
the
it's
chimney right
rusted,
there, right?
right.
Right there, that's the chimney from the original. Would that been like maybe the original like stoves in?
Yeah, they could have had like a coal burning furnace in here one time. They could have had like a wood burning stove. There's all kinds of possibilities on a 100-year-old house. So 8 years old. Typical furnace will run about 20 years. So you guys still have plenty of life
Half its
there.
life.
To change the filter, it's in the door on the left. You're gonna see the little compartment, and there's a white screw there to change that out. So we were talking about the window wells on the outside, just saying how they were full, nowhere for the water to go. This is an example. You can just see the moisture that's come through.
Okay.
And so that's why I want to make sure, you know, the window wells get dug out, the grating gets repaired, so we get the water away from the structure. And this is kind of where you can see, it looks like the basement had quite a bit of water in it one time. You can see the water mark on the baseboard of the wall, and it carries all the way through this room.
You want to turn that light on, Jamie?
Right, like that.
You can see the wood rot in the door from the moisture. And this is where, if you look across this whole baseboard again, you can see more moisture, but the floor slopes to this side of the basement. So I think that's why that room doesn't have any moisture in it.
That room looks
And
solid.
This room and the hallway have all the moisture lines because of the way the floor slopes. Something going up the stairs,
No railing.
need handrails.
Yeah.
The other thing is, there's no smoke alarms in the house.
Okay.
So, yeah, it doesn't work.
One in the kitchen.
So you ought to look at getting some smoke alarms put through. All the windows in the house are original. Some other things that would help, like if you keep the original doors, just no weather strippings.
Okay.
So it helps get some weather strippings on again, just try to help control some of the heat loss. All the walls in this house are brick.
Okay.
So all the exterior walls aren't wood frame, it's just brick with plaster over the top.
Yeah, I feel like they're like 10 inches, about 10 inches thick throughout for the most part.
So that's like energy efficient, right? That 10-inch walls.
The brick has a lot of R value compared to just like a 2x4 wall with no insulation.
Well, yeah, like even a 2x4, if you were to just line it with 2x4s, is not very good insulation.
No,
Like
but the brick is decent insulation. So obviously you can see the tub.
Closet, but the closet's probably been removed because of how little it is.
Yeah, they try to take a clawfoot tub and enclose it.
Which I wish that it was taller, because you can't really normally, you usually can't find the feet to put on it that fit the, like everyone is a little bit different.
Yeah, they were all like handmade, a little bit different. So
So
then they also drilled plumbing valves through the front of the clawfoot tub as
thank
well.
you, people, for that one. So we were thinking about maybe saving it for the master bedroom, but I think it's a planter.
Yeah, at this point it's too far gone. So whatever you decide to do with this bathroom, got to make sure do something with the tub and the surrounds. So you don't have water leaking behind. Toilet's fine. The sink just is the drain's plugged.
Oh, okay.
So sink's not draining, but there's no active leaks.
So probably just the B-trap needs to be cleaned out or whatever.
Right, and then this is where we've got more exposed wiring. So they took the original light socket and then put a plug adapter in it and then cut an extension cord off to power up the light. And that's why all the wiring's exposed
Instead of
behind
just
the
running
clock.
it through the wall?
Correct.
Wow.
So weird.
The attic access is in this closet.
Deborah, are you gonna film that? Mm. The attic. Show them the tree limb. Please do it.
Show them the tree limb.
I feel like our viewers need to know.
All right, so what do we want to tell them about this?
No, I
Check out that tree limb.
We're gonna have to just describe what you see.
That tree limb there is holding the old ceramic insulators for the knob and tube electrical.
Can I sell the insulators at the shop?
No, they're not even big.
So kitchen-wise, again, we've got electrical issues. We've got exposed wiring through the cabinets. We've got exposed electrical connections. And then the 220 for the stove, you can see the wiring is fraying apart. So need to make sure we get electrical connections tidied up. But the rest of the kitchen, cabinets and counters are in good shape. Underneath the sink, just a few leaks.
Just a little bit of masking tape.
Yeah, so just need to make sure the valves get replaced, and then the little P-traps, the plastic P-traps are dripping water. So need to make sure those get tightened up.
Okay.
The one thing about this house is all the plumbing is, most of the plumbing is original. So like they did put the new sewer line out to the street, and when you get in the crawl space, you'll see a few random pieces of plastic that they've updated. But all the supply lines that you can see under the cabinet, they're all the original galvanized. And then a lot of the drain lines are still the original plumbing as well.
And what you're saying is that's not great.
So it's okay. The problem is it just, over time, the galvanized supply lines corrode from the inside out. And so basically one day you're just gonna have no water flow. They'll rust in and close off like an artery. Like I said, everything's working fine now. It's just if you're gonna go to all the trouble to remodel the house.
And since I'm gonna be under the crawl space anyway.
That would be the time to get all the old galvanized lines out and just finish updating the plumbing.
Okay.
Okay? And so like the light fixture hanging from the rafters, and you can see all the lamp cord wiring that they ran through the walls to power everything. And then you can also see, like here in the stairwell, all the electrical splices that they've tried to connect together, and everything's just taped together. Nothing's in junction boxes. And it runs everywhere throughout this side of the house.
All right, so there are some things on this house, not necessarily any major red flags we didn't know about, but lots of little things that we're gonna have to catch up with.
Oh, this house.
Yeah.
It's a situation and a half. So, you know, it's not necessarily that all old houses are bad. It's just this one is particularly special in its upgrades over the last 100 years.
Yeah, lots of DIY homeowner upgrades that are not meeting code. We'll say
before
that.
the Google. So we'll let you guys know what happens. Thanks for following along with us. Make sure that if you guys are purchasing a home, old or new, that you always get a home inspection. You want to use a qualified home inspector because it's going to save you money and time in the future, and it's going to allow you to negotiate with a seller to make sure you're paying the right price for the house. We're going to drop the link for Matt below, so if you're local to Utah, hit his company up. He treated us good. He made sure to give us all the deets.
Yeah, lots of great advice. Lots of great advice. So.
All right, bye guys. Make sure that you go to JamiRayVintage.com, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more
DIY.
Hit the subscribe button.